There are a lot of tech superstars out in the world, but today I get to meet the granddaddy of all tech stars, none other than Steve Wozniak, from the co-founder of Apple. Steve, thanks for joining us.
Thank you. That's very generous of you.
Did you like that intro?
Actually, I'd rather not be. I'd rather be, yes, the best engineer and a tech star that way. But as far as being known for where life has gone, I didn't seek that. So I just accept it.
Well, you did such a great job. You know, I've been kind of watching you around today, and you just have like hordes of people around you at all times.
I don't know. I hope it's for being nice.
Well, it's because you've made some great things from an engineering perspective.
You know, we love and we fall in love with our equipment just like we fall in love with people. And today's equipment, we know how far it's taken us in life. It's such a great life compared to what we had, yeah.
Well, let's start back when you were in the early 70s, when you were a young engineer. Did you have a vision of what you wanted the world to be like?
You know what? I knew that I was very good at certain things, very clever at creating my own things, at inventing, not just implementing stuff, not just building things, not just innovation even, but really true invention. Everything so different. It was never in a book, totally different ways than other people. I knew I was good at that, so I appreciated computers. I wanted my own computer desperately since high school. I had talked about having it, that I would give up a house to have a computer. So, but you know where computers would go in the end? I didn't have a clear vision. Then there was a club called the Homebrew Computer Club, the first club in the world that had computer in its name. We grew to 500 people. There were academics from Berkeley and Stanford that weren't necessarily technical people, but they were talking about how the new technology, once people had their own computers, it was going to change the world socially. And I wanted all those social revolutionists to have their way. So I went home and quickly designed my first computer and gave it away to them because I wanted to help them get that distance. And then when Steve Jobs came along and saw it and wanted to start a company, at first it was just a parts company. But then a local store wanted to buy computers. Well, we didn't have money to build computers, but we pulled tricks with finances. And then the Apple II, of course, came along, and that was designed as a computer from the ground up to change the world. It was so far advanced. It was going to give Apple all its revenues for 10 years. No, did we see where it was going to go? Did we ever think that computers were really going to have enough memory for a song? Well, songs weren't even digital yet, so how much memory is that? And of course, we never thought that far out to the future because we kind of had our feet on the ground running a company. And you know, and then of course now we've got millions of songs, we've got videos, we've got tons of videos on a little chip you can hold in your hand. We've got the internet that connects you to everybody in the world and bounds of information you never believed. And libraries almost go away and books go away, and you know, universities are starting to go away. No,
Well-
we never.
Well, Steve, you know, you've done a lot of different things. What are you most proud of? Out of all the different things you've done, what do you want to be remembered as?
I really want to be remembered for the some great engineering that made a technology of owning your own computer possible, affordable, a computer that was useful. Other people were taking a lot of steps that they didn't hit on a formula for a useful computer. And that was really a spark that really keyed the revolution. Now, I did incredible work, continuing development work at Apple for quite a while too, that was critical in those early days. I also would like to be known for starting a company that had good values about trying to help people. Now, I was the sort of one that wanted to try to help people by giving away a computer for free, but boy, I went along. You know, we started the company, we said, we got to have high profit margin, or we're going to have to borrow money, and you know, then you become beholden to others to think of your ideas. And we always wanted to have our own company, not get bought out by one of the big guys. We didn't want to buy other little companies in. We just wanted to go along, have our own company survive and make it, and we did.
So, let's think, if you were a young engineer right now, what would be the most things what would get you excited?
More than anything else, I would be looking around at facets of life, everything we do in life, every little aspect of employment and jobs and work and industry, and I'd be looking for places that can be improved, that computers could automate some things that we spend time going through tasks to get solved. You know, one of the tasks is just driving down to a store, for example, but I would be putting it online with mobile apps, because mobile's with us everywhere now. It made computers so much more versatile, so much more usable, and so much more useful than ever before. But I'd also train myself to certainly learn how to set up the other end of it, the servers, which is the web pages, the interactive web pages, the languages that they use, so I could make the complete solutions and not just a little app that runs by itself on a phone.
Very cool. You know, one thing you said that really resonated with me is engineers change the world. We have a lot of engineers, or young engineers. What kind of advice would you give them?
The talents that you have, you're learning so many formulas, how to connect things, how to build devices. The main thing is, why would you go through an education learning how to design and create new things and then go out and just try to copy what exists? Always try to think for yourself and think out better things than were there before. Even don't be afraid to go in different ways. Shy engineers, I think you have a huge advantage. When you always want to have an instant answer to everything. You don't sit back and reflect and think out the best working solution, taking everything into account. Spend a lot of time on your own. Call it dream time. Maybe when you're just alone in a quiet room, nobody else with you, falling asleep, and really imagine the limits of where you can go. Don't start building something until you've gone very far and you know that you've thought something out very well that's ahead of what other people are doing. Try to imagine yourself as the best engineer in the world, every one of you. Try to think of little tricks you can do in your design. Could I do one thing different, add one thing that would make me better that other engineers wouldn't do? So that's basically a pursuit of excellence, and believe in your own ideas, even if other people are saying, no, that's not how it's done. It's too different. Well, those very different things are what are disruptive, and they wind up putting other companies out of business and really changing our life. And you're a young engineer in college. Where did companies like Yahoo and Google and Apple and Facebook and so many others, where did they come from? They came from young people. Microsoft, young people dropping out of college or just out of college.
That's excellent advice. Steve, I just want to thank you because you made being a nerd cool, and I have to thank you for that.
You know what? I'm actually so proud to hear that, because I grew up as a nerd, as a social outcast, and it's almost like a form of bullying, the way other people talk about you and treat you. And I wanted to make some kind of statement that these are my favorite people in the world, and the good people, when I run into them, I just think back to how I was. I'm not that way now, but boy, I sure was, just so weird and strange and couldn't talk to other people. But that also helps give you a lot of alone time on your own. And I was going to give more advice to young engineers. Don't waste your life away partying, because you're at the peak of your intellectual and your physical energies, and that's when you can create the new things.
I totally agree. Steve Wozniak, co-founder of Apple, giving some great advice for engineering and just talking about his whole experiences as an engineer over the years. Thanks, Steve.
Yes, and do great work, and don't put cameras in other people's bedrooms, and don't work for the NSA.
Thanks, Steve.
Gotta get connected.